Hello, friends and family. We are Tom and Melissa, and we are thrilled that you have decided to come sit at my table. Today, we are going to make homemade blueberry muffins. Now, Melissa and I are retired school teachers, but this week we are substitute teaching, and so we need some quick things for breakfast that we can just grab and eat on our way or eat quickly before we leave. And this is one of those things that you can prepare ahead of time. In fact, these muffins freeze really well. So if you want to make them, make a whole batch of them, let them cool completely, and then put them in your freezer and let them freeze solid. You can then just put them in Ziploc bags and they'll last for weeks. All you have to do is take one out, or however how many you need. Take them out the night before you're going to use them and just let them come to room temperature and they're ready to eat. All right, let's talk about how we're going to make homemade blueberry muffins. We're going to start by making a crumb topping to go on top of the muffins. There's our oven. The crumb topping uses 1/2 cup of white sugar, 1/3 cup all-purpose flour, 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, and 1/4 cup of butter. Now that's half a stick, or approximately half a stick. Sometimes I use a little more, but it's 1/4 cup. That's about half a stick. So we're gonna make that first before we make the muffins, just so you can see how that's done. So into the bowl goes the sugar, the flour. We'll measure out the cinnamon. We need 1.5 teaspoons. And we're going to start by mixing that together. You just want to get that mixed up well so that the sugar kind of breaks up those flour clumps and mixes that cinnamon in so you don't have big clumps of any of it in your topping. Because that crumb topping, oh my, it is so good. That's one of the things that makes this such a good recipe. The muffins are daggone good on their own, but this crumb topping is so good. All right, so we have that mixed up. We'll take about half of a stick of butter. Okay, maybe a little more. And we're just going to work that in to the sugar. You okay?
Something got me.
Melissa has had a little bit of a sinus thing going on the last several days. Stuffy nose, stopped up ears, little tiny bit of a sore throat. Need a drink?
Yeah, I think I do.
And
not to cough makes it worse.
it does. So she's been fighting those allergies. Oh my gosh, allergies this time of year in Kentucky are horrible. So, you know what? Enough with this fork. It's much easier just to get in there and do it with my fingers. So, that's what we'll do. And all you're doing here is making sure that that flour, sugar, and cinnamon are all mixed into that butter. You don't want just raw flour or plain sugar on top of your muffins. Just make sure it's all mixed in really well together. Get that little piece right there. If you see any loose sugar, flour, cinnamon in the bottom, just pick it up, mix it in there. And listen, you had fingers a long time before you learned to use a fork or spoon. So don't be afraid to get in there and use your fingers. Just make sure you've washed your hands before you do it. All right, so there's our crumb topping that we're going to sprinkle on top of our muffins before we put them in the oven. And we're just going to set that aside and make our muffins. All right, we're going to take just a minute's break and we'll be right back to make our muffins. All right, I got my hands washed. Melissa got a throat lozenge to help with the cough, and we're ready to make our muffins. So here's what you're going to need to make muffins. We need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 3/4 of a cup of white sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, not baking soda. You want to make sure it's baking powder. You need 1/3 of a cup of oil. Now I'm using canola oil, but I'm sure any kind of oil will work fine. And you want to put 1/3 of a cup in a 1 cup measure, because after we measure out 1/3 of a cup of oil, we're going to add to that oil 1 egg. And then we're going to finish filling up that 1 cup with milk. So we don't know how much milk we're going to need yet. We're going to have to wait and see after we get the canola oil and the egg in the 1 cup measure. So we'll find out. Then you're going to need something out of the freezer. 1 cup of blueberries. Now you can use fresh blueberries or frozen blueberries for this. Either one works. In fact, they work equally well. We've made them with fresh, we've made them with frozen. I can't tell the difference. The thing is that you can get frozen blueberries year round, and they are much less expensive than fresh blueberries. So most of the time we use frozen blueberries. You're going to need 1 cup of those. And I'll just be honest and tell you, I do a generous cup. I like a lot of blueberries in my muffins, so I kind of pile it up. So 1 cup of blueberries. Now, before I start mixing this, I am going to take just a little bit of my flour, my all-purpose flour. Remember, I had 1.5 cups. I'm going to take just a little bit of that and sprinkle over those blueberries, because if you stir a little bit of flour into them, that helps to coat them and they won't sink to the bottom of your muffins while they're baking. Sometimes if you just put them in without dusting them with flour, they will kind of sink to the bottom, and it'll still be delicious, but you'll have a whole bunch of blueberries at the bottom of your muffins and none up through it. So I just stir, I don't know, a tablespoon or less into it. All right, let's start mixing our muffins. So I'm going to start by putting in my flour. My 3/4 of a cup of sugar. In it goes. We're putting in 1/2 teaspoon of salt. In it goes. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Okay. And we're going to just let that kind of combine for a second. Just let it kind of mix together. That just ensures that you don't have a big glob of something in there by itself when you get ready to add the liquid. Now, if you want to come back over here, I'm going to put 1/3 of a cup of oil in here, but this is a 1 cup measure. Okay, there's 1/3. Now, I have to add my egg to that. And I'm getting it all out of that shell. These are local farm fresh eggs that we actually get from a former student of mine. She has chickens, and we get eggs from her about every week or two. I got 3 dozen eggs last week. And now I'm just going to add my milk to go up to the 1 cup line. Right there. Is that all the way up? Maybe just a splash more. Okay. So I don't know how much milk that was, but it filled it up to 1 cup. So I'm just going to pour all that in. Scrape out my measuring cup to make sure I get all that oil and egg and milk out. We don't want to leave any of it in there to be wasted. Okay. And now I can mix it up. Now this recipe will make 12 regular muffins. If you're just using the regular muffin cup, it should make 12 of those. Melissa and I really don't care for the regular muffins as much. We like the big jumbo muffins. If we're going to do the regular muffins, we're probably going to eat 2 or 3 of them. So we just make the jumbo muffins, and I'll scrape down the sides just a second. Oh, I should have had my scraper beater, and I wouldn't have to do this. Forgot about putting it on. We prefer doing the jumbo muffins. It's just easier for us. But now you can do either. It works just fine. And you can see it does not take long to mix that up. Literally just a few seconds. Then we want to scrape our beater. Yes, I'm using my fingers. I can hear somebody now. My fingers work just fine. And they're clean because I just washed them after I got them in that crumb topping mixture. So they're fine. Okay. Now, hands off again. Now we're just going to fold in our blueberries.
You did not let these thaw.
We did not let them thaw. They do not have to thaw. In fact, if you're using frozen ones, it's best not to let them thaw because they will give off a lot of juice and that'll make your batter kind of runny. So it's best not to do that. Now, you don't want to beat this after you've put your blueberries in because your blueberries will become part of the batter. You won't have any whole blueberries left. You just want to take a spatula and kind of fold under and over to mix those in. Remember, we put the all-purpose flour on those, and you can see that it's already kind of gone into the batter. Okay, let's go over. I don't know if you can get in here and see this.
I'll go behind you.
I'm going to turn this light on. And I'm just going to, actually, I'm going to get rid of this spatula. Spray that a little bit. Just lay it there until I need it again. And I'm just going to use a scoop to scoop some into each muffin cup. And you want them to be pretty even. You want an even amount in each one so they'll bake at the same rate. You don't want one to be completely done and another one beside of it raw. So, yeah, I think I don't have as much in this one. Might have to put a little more in this one. We'll see. And because we are using the jumbo cups, we're going to have to bake these a little longer than we would the regular cups. Now, let's see how evenly I've gotten them. Now that one over there is definitely a little smaller. And this one right here, I think, is a little smaller. How's that look?
Delicious. Good enough to eat.
It better be. It had better be. Now, I'm going to scrape all of this out of there because I don't want to waste it. Food is money. You don't want to waste money. Not in this day and time. Okay, so now that we have our muffins in, actually, you know what? There's some muffin mix still in here, so let's just put it in there. Get it all out of this bowl. Put a little bit in that one. A little bit in that one. A little bit in this one. And the rest in this one. Okay. Let me rinse my fingers off for just a second. We'll come back and put the topping on there. That topping is so good. Now, I'm going to get a spoon for this instead of this fork. So you just want to take a scoop of your topping and just kind of move it around. Now that's a big lump right there, and we don't want that. So I'm just going to use my fingers to kind of break that up. And you want fairly even amounts on them. So we'll have to go back and, sorry, I think I was in the way. We'll go back and even it up a little bit once we get all of them with some on it. All of them with some of it on them. And this topping, you remember, was sugar, flour, butter, and cinnamon. And when they bake, that butter will melt, and this topping will just make like a layer, a coating on top of the muffins. Okay, let's see, where do we need a little extra? Maybe this one, definitely this one. I think that one could use quite a bit more. This one could use some more. Okay, we are going to put these in the oven. Now, the regular size cups, if you're using the regular cups, you'll have 12, and that's going to take approximately 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. These jumbo muffins will take at least 25 minutes, and may take even longer. A lot of it depends on your oven. Our oven bakes hot. It's a gas oven and it bakes really hot. So we'll have to watch them. I'll start watching them right at 20 minutes. And then we'll just check the center. You want the middle to be done, but you do not want to overbake these. If you overbake them, they're going to be dry and not very good. So don't overbake them, but you want the middle to be done. Okay, in we go. Set the timer for 20 minutes. And when they're ready to come out, we'll come back and show you what they look like. And I'm going to eat one. We'll be right back. Our muffins baked for about 27 minutes. I checked them at 20 minutes. I felt like they needed a little more time, so I put 5 more minutes on. And then by the time I got them out, it was a couple minutes after that. So about 25 to 27 minutes. They look really good. I did take them out of the oven and let them sit for about 30 minutes so they have cooled. If you try to take them out of the muffin tins too soon after they come out of the oven and you try to eat them, they'll kind of crumble. You want to let them cool just a little bit. And I think I mentioned earlier, these freeze really well. So if you're not going to use them all, just put them in the freezer, let them freeze, then you can take them out, put them in Ziploc bags, and use them within the next several weeks. All right, let's see what they're like. So we'll lift one out, take the paper off of it. Topper's wanting to stick right there. Okay, there it is. Isn't that a nice looking muffin?
Good enough to eat.
All right, well, let's see if it's good enough to eat. Actually, you know what? Let's just get the whole thing open.
You can see how they didn't all.
You can see that that's right. The blueberries did not sink to the bottom. Don't they look good? Mm-hmm. All right. We'll feed you a bite first. Are you ready?
Always.
You want the top or the bottom? I bet you
Well,
want
the top, of course, where
I
the good
knew.
stuff is.
I
Come
knew
on.
that. All right. Here's your bite.
It's good.
I'm gonna take a bite too. Delicious. You know, if I had to do over, I would take these out just a few minutes sooner. I think they would have been just about perfect at like 24, 25 minutes. I shouldn't have left them that extra couple minutes at the end. So if you're doing the regular size, I would say start checking them around 15, 17 minutes. I certainly wouldn't leave them any longer than 20 minutes. If you're doing the jumbo muffins like these, I would start checking them around 20 minutes and probably not leave them any more than 24, 25 at the most.
They're still good, but
They are delicious. But they could have been just a little less baked. All right. Thank you so much for watching our videos. If you would, please, we would sure appreciate if you'd click the thumbs up, give us a like. That just says you like our video. If you haven't already, click subscribe and the little notification bell beside of the subscribe button. That just lets you know when we post a new video. It's absolutely free to subscribe. And if you would click the share button and post our video on your own page, that just gets our video out there to more people. The more likes and subscribes and shares that we get, the more YouTube will post our video. And remember that right under the video, there's a description box. You can click there right, I think it's right beside of the title, and it will expand that box. Melissa will put the written recipe there so you can find the written recipe. All right. Thank you so much for coming along. We appreciate it. And remember, you are always welcome to come sit at my table. Have a great day.